All right, first thing, I want to make sure I can be heard because my voice is not strong. So can you hear me? Hopefully. All right, well, I am not famous, so that's, but I have been painting a long, long time, and I hate to admit how long, let's just say over 30 years in watercolor. Trained in oils in art school, didn't take with me, but I discovered watercolor after I graduated. And all that time, I painted subject matter. I painted the blooming desert, painted portraits, painted landscapes, still lifes, all that. And in an impressionistic style, it wasn't super realist. But now, my relationship with watercolor has shifted. And I am more excited about subjects that aren't crystal clear, about, I like ambiguity, I like a little mystery, a little hint of something without spelling it out, less detail. And that's what I'm attracted to, that's what I'm excited about now. It doesn't mean I can't go back and paint a bird or something, you know, but this is what keeps my creative juices going right now. So that's what the workshop will be this Saturday. Because I'm not painting a recognizable subject, I'm letting watercolor, it's an exploration, and I'm experimenting every single time. And it's color, shape, some line, it's all the elements of art. And, but this is definitely abstract. Now, the term abstract, just to clear this up, you probably know this, but you can abstract anything. You can abstract a portrait, you can abstract a landscape. If there's nothing recognizable at all, which I would say up here, that would be non-representational. But abstract is kind of used as an umbrella phrase, and that's okay. But just so you know, there is a difference. So when what I want to say is I think a lot of people that want to paint in abstract, we have nothing to look at. We have no reference. There's no photo to copy. There's no model. There's no scene. And it's like, you know, where do I start? How do I come up with this? That's what I'm going to handle in the workshop, because I think that's the biggest stumbling block for people. Also, we have to talk about left brain and right brain. Left brain cannot handle this. And if you're a strong, we're all both, but we're weighted differently. Those of you that are very strong left brain, you're going to feel a lot of pushback and frustration. Left brain likes things that are clear-cut, detailed, specific, and recognizable. And so you can see that's not what we're doing. And so left brain is like, but the great thing is that it gets left brain to back out, and that's what you want. I'm gonna talk more about that, so I don't want to go into it here. But this is, painting this way will help you cross over into right brain mode, and the more you do it, the easier it is. So I'm going to show the students a number of ways to start an abstract painting in watercolor. And once you start, the painting kind of leads then you are making decisions intuitively and being carried in a direction. So I'm going to show a few examples, but oftentimes, every time, the end result is not anything I planned. And that's the whole beauty of it. It's not planned. It's You are creating something spontaneously, but you're using the principles of design. You need to know that because you're making decisions on balance and dominance and contrast and movement. And the other thing I want to say is that this is risky. It's risky. And for everyone that I'm showing, and I didn't bring a lot, I have a few more here, but there are probably 4 I've thrown away, okay, just so you know. You have to come at it with the frame of mind that I'm taking chances, I'm risking, and it's fearless. You have to get used to being fearless and realizing that some of them aren't going to be keepers, let's say, and some of them will delight you beyond what you could have done intentionally. But anyway, this is what I do right now. I'm going to keep drinking sips of water, so hold on. So what I have here, is this on the camera? This is typical of how I explore. I use a lot of water, but consequently you also have to use a lot of pigment. But I'm always experimenting with what will happen if I butt this color up against that color, and what happens if I let them run into each other. And all these different areas, I've got some white shapes. I threw some salt in. This is one that when I finished, I happened to like. It delighted my eyes. And so some of these, when you put a mat over them, all of a sudden you got abstract painting. Voila! An abstract painting. But that's how they start. It's with experimenting. In this one, same thing. Only I just moved the brush in a direction, a swirl or just the curved direction. And again, just letting things happen in there. Get out of the way. Don't try to control it. You lay it down. You can wiggle the paper this way and that. Drop more paint in. But if you get in here and try to control this, it blows it. It just flattens it out, and it's, there are rare exceptions, but primarily you're guiding this, guided chaos, I guess. And I call ink, I add ink to it because I've got water-soluble ink, pen, nib. I like, while it's damp, putting some ink in there, getting some lines, so it just adds to me to the compositional interest. So this also, I did this, I still remember doing this in a class as a demo, and I liked it well enough to put mat on it. So now, a couple of these I've added gouache. Let's see, I've got gouache. So I experimented with gouache. And I thought, what will gouache do up against a dark color? Primarily I used Payne's Gray here. Payne's Gray, Winsor Newton. So I liked some of the effects I got. There's a little salt in here. This is just, I don't know, to me, a successful painting is what you enjoy looking at. And if I have something I finished, I'm like, yuck, I don't like looking at it. I'll walk it out to the garage or the trash. I don't even want it in the room with me. But I also have some that, for some reason, delight my eye, and I keep enjoying looking back at them. So this was with gouache. Here's another one with gouache. And this, I made some strokes that hint at landscape. Just hint. I couldn't begin to explain any of this. It doesn't make sense. but they're just the special effects. And then back here we have the hint of landscape. So that's what I like. I like a hint of something and not being specific. Did you have a question?
Yeah, are you putting your gouache wet on wet paper?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And if you want an effect, you've got to bump it up to wet paint. So what I want to say is the painting happens very quickly, so I'm going to probably be done very early. You have to go quickly because you're wanting it to be wet or damp, and you have to stay with it. And now there are cases where you could come back later, but yeah, wet. Okay, here's.
I have a question.
Oh,
Do you
sure.
select your palette of paints that you're going to use before you start? Like on that last one.
I'll talk about that
Okay.
when I get started. I'm going to address that. That's a great question. So here was one when this is an example of the painting kind of leading you in a direction. Again, I was on a kick, I guess, with gouache and Payne's Gray, and I stroked across. I had no intention of doing the ocean, but it started looking like ocean foam and the sea waves and that. And I go with it. So when it's starting to lead me somewhere, I'm like, I'll go with it. And I added some more and came on down. And then I added the sky probably after that, very wet and wet, as you can see. And it gives a hint of being a stormy seascape, abstract seascape. But it's abstracted, and it was not intentional, but the painting kind of led that way. You had a question?
Yeah. What brand of paint do you use?
I use a variety of paints. And some colors I really prefer in certain brands, like Payne's Gray. To me, it's got to be Winsor Newton. And there are others that I feel that way about that I'll tell you later, but I choose all different ones. So with that seascape-ish, some of mine are starting to look landscape-ish. And I love using the word ish or and how many of you have read the book? There's a book called Ish. Ish. It's adorable. It's a children's book. But, I won't go into it in detail, but a little boy was wadding up all of his papers and throwing them away, and his sister was picking them up, and she created a display, and he goes, that's not a good flower. And she'd say, well, it's flower-ish. And he'd say, that's not a good house. And she goes, it's, house-ish. And so that's why I call these landscape-ish. Again, just in this case, horizontal strokes, and you see all those interesting areas where the paint's doing things I didn't plan, and then I add a few lines in ink and a watery sky.
Were the lines in the ink done with a dip pen?
Yeah,
Okay.
water soluble.
Is that a calligraphy pen? A fountain pen, yeah.
Do you have any idea how old this pen is?
40 years.
Plus.
Yeah, I have a bunch.
And I've got different nibs. This is not one I would do calligraphy with, but I've tried different ones because you've got to just play with it. But yeah, it's old. So here's another one. After I saw the bands of color, and I used some ink, I then made some faint lines. Again, I kind of went with the idea that it's landscape-ish. And so I call both of these abstract landscapes because there is a hint of what they lead you to believe. The main thing is not to try hard to control it and make it something. That's left brain. So when you do that, you've crossed over into left brain territory, and it's going to be a left brain painting. So when you come at it with I'm just going to play. I'm going to have fun. I know these aren't going to all be great. That is a magic zone. And sometimes you'll finish paintings that you'll go, who did this? I don't know how I did this. You know? And so it literally is magic, because that's the beauty of the right brain, and it's incredible. So, all that. Any questions? I'm gonna let these out of range of splashing.
What led you to start doing this?
I kind of paint this way, in a way. I've always painted with a lot of water, trying to get the flow. A couple people that have taken classes from me over the years go, yeah, you've always kind of done this. I've just kind of bumped it up a notch. I'll tell you, a big reason is I never taught a lot. I made my living as a realtor because I'm a single gal. I had to make a living. But I was trained as in fine arts and in teaching, so I have taught over the years. And I just bumped up to left brain thinking all the time. And no matter what I could do, some people just couldn't tear themselves away from the photo reference. I try to break that and flip it over, you know. Oh my God, no, you know. They had to have that. That's the left brain demanding that. And by teaching a class where we do away with all reference material, now we're going to get some right brain stuff going on. And I think, honestly, when I analyze what led me into this, that's kind of it. So it's one of the reasons anyway. So, all right. When I get started.
Yvonne,
Yeah,
what kind of paper do you prefer? Do you use a hot press?
No, I definitely have a preference, and it's cold press, and it's 140 pounds. The reason is I get more movement. I have a lot of, I have 300-pound paper at home if anyone wants it. I'm not it. It just doesn't, the paint doesn't move. So portrait artists tend to like it because, you know, they don't, it doesn't move as much. It won't give you surprises so much. I like the surprises. Hot press, I have used hot press. It's just for fun. I'm experimenting. I've experimented with UFO. And I don't love it, but I've gotten some interesting results. So you just experiment. But you ask me my favorite, it's good old 140-pound cold press. So, get a little water. Everybody's hearing me okay? I'm worried about that. Okay, so when I start, I'm getting ready to paint something. How do I start? I do little, I take back sides of things, and I just experiment. And I'm going to do one before I start to paint. But here's one, and I was just experimenting, and I really liked this yellow-green contrasted with the red-violet. Of course, there are opposites on the color wheel. It's no surprise why they complement each other. But by doing this little piece, it gives me my idea and gives me a place to start now with the painting. And this is still small. Here again, I was kind of on that kick. Green is not an easy color, I don't think, nor is yellow. So yellow-green is maybe not the easiest. But here I've used some oil pastel, just making some random marks. We will do a different start on Saturday. We'll do a number of starts, but one is with some mark making and scribbles. And this is an example of starting out with, I had started with some ink and some, but again, there were things about this that I liked that I might take to a next thing. And so that's my idea spark. And so, so I'm gonna, let's see here, I don't wanna flip this back side of this. And get some brushes. I have I really like big flat brushes for working on these. I don't use the rounds as much. And these smaller ones are for spattering. I do not paint. And I might do some line work with this one. Not much though, because I usually use something else. But basically, I'm telling you that because it's not a place for small brushes. The best thing is to get a couple big, and I like the flat edge. Flat. All right, so I'm gonna get a brush. Got my water, and this is not bad. I'm gonna turn it. And since it's a little piece, I'm not going to use the huge brush. So, what colors am I going to use? That's the decision for whoever asked me. Who asked that? And what was your question? How did you ask it?
Well, I said, how do you, I think I said, do you decide your color palette choices
For
ahead of starting?
for a particular paint?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's important because although these are unplanned, I think you do need to pick a dominant color. And I've seen, and the reason I say that is because I've seen people just, oh boy, they're just going wild with all the colors in their palette. And they say to me, I love color, and they're using all the color. And I want to say, in music, would it be fun to listen to something where they use all the notes and all the instruments, you know? I love color too. But it's up to us as the artists. I think, you know, you can stray from your original plan, of course. But it's good to start out. What's going to be my dominant color, the contrasting color across the color wheel? But keep in mind that if I say I want my dominant color to be blue or yellow, I'm not stuck with one blue. I've got all the shades of blue. All the shades of blue. And then pick something as a surprise color. Robert Burridge called it a spice color. So now that's, on this one, I think, okay, I'm going to pull out, raw sienna. I use raw sienna. Some people use ochre. Similar, I just think this is a little more transparent, luminous. Try not to pre-mix your colors. When I painted subject matter, I did not pre-mix color. I let the color mix on the paper. So that's what's the same with how I used to paint and paint now. I always looked for that dynamic. Now I'm going to try this very wild and crazy winter green, Meridian green, and it's a dangerous color. And I've got some orange here, and I've got, let's see, what else do I think I might want? Got burnt sienna. I don't know what I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna try this. All right, let's just play. If I'm going to do horizontal strokes, and I'm going to avoid starting in the middle, so I'm just going to maybe start up here with, just load the brush and lay it in there. See what happens here with this raw sienna. And I don't want to get into the mix. I lay them beside each other. I lay them beside each other and watch what happens. And I'm going to need to, it's very drippy. So I'm already enjoying what's happening there, okay? So then I think, well, what will happen? A little orange up against it down here. That orange is not very transparent. That's kind of pretty. Pull off some of that. Ooh, that's pretty. And then just for kicks, let's get the brush. Yeah, I may not like it. I want to put that up here. I might put a little bit of that down here. And when I do these, I like to leave some white areas as a, okay, and then I bump up water to the edge. I don't want to mess up this exciting stuff going on here. I'm easily entertained. Okay. But I don't get in there with your brush. Don't mess that up and ruin that kind of dynamic interaction there. I can touch it and pull off liquid, and I can add water to blur an edge. But I'm really, yeah, I love those colors, so that's very nice. Now, just for kicks, this is just plain. I'm going to go in with some dark, always like some contrast. So here's that thing, a little bit of water. Okay, so what happens down here? Put that, watch that spread. And then,
Yvonne, is that your Payne's gray?
yeah,
Okay.
that's pink. And indigo, I think, is so simpler. You don't need both. Now, see, just adding that value. So this is my play experimental thing, and then I go from this to a painting. I could play a lot more with this. I can spatter on it. Catch it at the right time, get some interesting speckles, can fling some orange in there. But, so that's how I get started, and I will put that aside. I'm pretty okay with that group of colors, so I think I'll go with it.
So Yvonne, do you ever just let that dry and then come back once it's dry with another layer of
You can when it needs it, and there's some, but it's best to, the more you do that, now look, this is still working. Look at this.
yeah.
Look at all this. To me, that's just interesting. It's more than interesting, it's exciting. And the more you layer, but sometimes you'll have a painting where you need to add some value, let's say. I would then, once the color's set, you can put the wet brush over it and add, so you get the blurry shape, I'd wet it. But the less you do with that, the better. And I don't do it much at all.
So this is kind of the robbing a bank and...
Yeah, Janice has this great saying, tell him.
Well, with this kind of painting, you really need to paint like you're robbing a bank. Get in and get out.
Get in, get out quickly. And that's true. I put a book together called Stop Fiddling. And it's to, the more you try to fix and fiddle, again, you're letting left brain enter into the creative process, and it's usually gonna not end up well. All right, so I probably don't have enough color out here, but I have to start. So that's, again, I'm gonna start, I think I'll start about 2/3 of the way up. It dries so quickly, sometimes I'll make a line and then look at it in the light, kind of see where I put it. It just happens so quickly that they dry. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing I did on the little practice sheet. And I'm just going to, just touching it in there, letting this go. Vary your strokes, thin, thick. I don't know what that, little grains of something in there. Now, Let's see here. Okay, bumping up, bumping up. Something up top. And I don't know if you can, I don't know which way to turn it, but I need the angle because I want it to come down. And I'm going to add more of the Rosienna. Let's see what else. Okay, you know what? I'm going to come up here. See, you just have to work so quickly. It's drying on both ends. I'm going to down here. I think I used Rosienna, didn't I? Let's try that. Now I'm going to put some back. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to drop some in here. Sometimes, you know, if you put color in one place on the painting, put it also somewhere else. That's always a good rule of sorts. Okay, here's some of that good dark. Let's see while it's still wet. Let's see what kind of damage I can do here. I kind of dance with my brush. Don't, you know, flat stroke. I call that painting a house. I'll tell students, you know, don't use your brush like you're painting a house. Let it dance across the paper. Let me do it this way. And let me do some down here. I've got some water up against this. And I'm going to bring some of this in again. Slur it across. So there's some interesting things going on here. Left brain's trying to find something recognizable. It's trying desperately to find something recognizable.
It almost evergreens, but that's
So you can go with that. For example, if that's what you see and this is a horizon and you think it looks like evergreens, put them in there. Okay, I just did. Just for you guys. But seriously, when you look at an abstract painting and you're like, oh, I see a boat and I see a mountain, that's left brain. I mean, everybody does it, don't. But it is left brain trying to find something recognizable. Now, let's see. I'm talking and I'm not painting while it's wet. So,
Do you ever paint it one side up and then decide that you're going to show it the other side up? Okay.
At least after it's done, that often happens. And we like it both ways or different ways. Those trees kind of went away, by the way. Those trees went away. I'm going to scoop in here, just maybe pick up a little bit of that.
It's like a color pool in Yellowstone in the winter.
Oh, I didn't want to leave this. You can't talk and do this.
Do you take special care to avoid hard edges?
If you have a hard edge, it's going to be your focal point. So it's okay to have some, but yeah, I'm wetting some of these edges. I've got a few in here, which create some interesting shapes as far as the composition goes. And I'm going to bring some more dark down at the bottom. It's still wet. Okay, good. And now I'm going to catch it. Let's see, that's still also wet. I've got to catch it while it's damp in order to put the ink in. If I put some ink strokes, catching it at the right time for some texture. Let's see what I can get here. Oh yeah. Can you see that? So now up here where I added those, I don't want to name something. I added those darks. I'm going to put in some color up there, but it's still wet. Notice I'm not scrubbing or brushing, but I'm kind of, you can drop things in. And down here, this is going to, I think I'm going to go a bit more of that. Now, do I want salt? Do I, let's see, before this gets too dry, I have to pay attention. Okay, I'm going to get some ink.
And you keep saying water-soluble ink. Ink is soluble, so is it acrylic ink? It's called water-soluble. Yeah.
You'll see why.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to come through here. I'm just going to make some kind of little jerky lines through there. And I like to see it spread and blur. Again, hard edge, crisp line isn't really what this calls for. I think I'll put another one down here. Oh, great.
Rock.
Let's name it. All right, let's see. You know, these are so freeing, you know, when you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm not making it look exactly like the picture, you know. It's like, this is freedom. And yeah, they're not all going to be perfect, but it's just the frame of mind of having fun with this is to me where creativity happens. And okay, I'm going to see how many more lines I want. This is kind of interesting. I like things that are happening. I can encourage some things. I think I'm going to add some orange up there in this area. Just touch it. Just touch. Some interesting things there. I'm going to pick up a little bit of extra moisture. You can add water. Balloons are wonderful. We were told back when that blooms were a bad thing, and now blooms are great when you're painting like this. So that's fun. I'm going to maybe add a couple more. Is my time up?
Is that wishful thinking?
I heard something. Oh, time's up.
Do you think about area of focus when you're doing? Do you think about a focus area like in traditional watercolors? Okay.
I do, and this has kind of become a focal point area down here, balanced with this little color up. You know, I'm thinking of balance, and like that. That might be enough there. I'm going to put another one down here, just a light squiggly line. I could, there's still some damp areas where I could add salt. I like the texture here. Don't totally need salt, but just for the, let's see here. I might add a little just to do it. What else is damp? I don't know. We'll see. This is good. So right now, honestly, I've got some white shapes, but I think they're interesting white shapes. I don't think that this is a good time for me to try to fiddle too much with this. I look at it, and this is, I'm just going to blot up that. When you, I like this up here, and I don't want to get into that. And I like that the sky is paler and not competing with it. So there are things about it I like. I'll pull up the tape. It always looks better after we pull up the tape. Let's see.
Do you ever crop? Do you ever crop a
Oh,
painting?
well, I do, but yeah, sure. These little ones, and I'll show you here in a minute. If you have a painting that you like things about it, but not the whole thing, absolutely. I don't want to drip. I sometimes staple. I've got another piece staple, but I don't think we need to do that. But I tape or staple to gator board. So, so just for kicks, I'll lay a mat on it. I don't think it's fabulous, but let's just see how it does change with a mat.
Yeah.
You know what? It's an abstract painting. And it's got interest, it's got line, it's got interesting shapes, it's got colors that are harmonizing, but there's contrast, there's value. So if I were critiquing this and looking for those things, I could argue that they're there. Now, whether it's for you or not, but this is what I'm doing. So let me show you over here, and you can come up later. But we will be doing these. This one was cropped from a bigger penny. And so we're going to be doing some of these in the workshop. But gosh, they're fun. And then I kind of consistently do a size that I fit in a 10-inch mat, and then I've got these little 10-inch frames. But you can see how much fun I've had. And so as far as crop, many of these were from bigger paintings. So if you, this is, like I said, it's risky. And don't be discouraged if you're trying it and you got some that are keepers. Don't worry about that. The more you worry about making sure it's a keeper and something precious and good, the less exciting it'll be. The less, that'll, what I want to say, that will cramp your creativity. I'm going to drink. Any questions?
I have one. I'm noticing this across, it's rather typical of those who do create abstract art. For instance, Stan Kurz as well, or Kurth as well. What's the deal with the equal side square type paintings? Is that to keep the viewer from trying to make something less than abstract out of it by going with portrait or landscape?
Okay, so the these two are square.
Yeah.
I certainly have a lot that are not square. I
Okay.
just don't have them in frames. It's a different composition. So I think it's fun to challenge yourself with a different composition. So, yeah, I don't really know other than that. It's personal preference. I do enjoy doing some square shaped paintings. So this went awfully quickly. Am I way off?